Hi everyone, and welcome to another book haul. I've got 22 books that I want to talk through with you all today. So I just wanted to say a couple things before I get into the books. I feel like even though I've got 22 books, I've been a lot more mindful with the books that I've been bringing into my collection, and I feel like I've just been more intentional, whereas previously I would just buy any book I was interested in, but now I'm only really buying books that I know I'll get to ASAP, or there's like specific reasons why I need to get to them. And you'll be able to see this throughout this video because I've actually read quite a lot of the books that I'll be talking about in this video, and I feel so thankful about that because then it means I'm only buying books I'm interested in, and this really kind of hinders but also helps me with my goal of getting my TBR down to 0 unread books, because obviously I'm still buying books because I feel like that is one joy I have in life. And there's certain times with like series where I'm like, I want to read the second book or the third book or whatever book it is in the series like ASAP, so I just buy them because I don't want to like fully restrict my buying habits, because then that's just like gets rid of such a joy in my life. Like getting new books makes me so happy, but I've definitely cut down a lot and I'm not just buying whatever I want. And I've got some normal books, I've got quite a few special editions, so now I'm just going to jump into the books that I've purchased over the last couple months. So the first book I've got is Riding the High by Paisley Hope. This is, I think, the third book in, I don't know what the series is called. Is it on here? What's the series called? I don't know, but the first book is Holding the Reins, and I've read this book. I think I rated this book, if I'm remembering correctly, a 4 out of 5 stars. I really had a good time with this book. I don't think it got a 5 stars. Like, I just don't. But it was a very, very enjoyable read. I just find Paisley Hope's books so easy to get into. So I was like, when I read the first book and when I read the second book, I had such a good time with them where I was like, I need the third book. Well, I didn't really need it, but I really wanted it, so I purchased it because I just kept thinking about these characters because we'd met them previously in the other two books, and this is a friends to lovers romance where throughout the other books it's clear that them two like each other, but they're always like, no, we're just friends. But then when we get to this book, they end up in Las Vegas. I think that's where they were, and then they get married. So we've got not even a marriage of convenience. I don't know what it's called when the characters just get married when they go on like vacation. So they need to hide it from their families because there's reasons why these two characters decide to stay together. And this was just a really enjoyable read. I think now that I think about this, it might be my favorite book in the series. Like, I really had a good time with this book, and I do recommend this series if you're just looking for a small town romance, which is a lot of fun. This is definitely one I would recommend, and I had a really good time with this book. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. I've read it and I'm so glad about that. Then I purchased Play Along by Liz Tomforde, but the reason I did that was because originally I purchased Rewind It Back. So you would have seen a reading vlog where I attempted to wake up at 3 a.m. to read, and Rewind It Back was one of the books that I read in the video. This book was a 5 out of 5 stars. This is one of the best romances I've ever read. I love it so much, which is so surprising because this is a second chance romance and they are not normally books I like. But the way Liz Tomforde wrote it was spectacular. It really made me believe in the relationship. There was so much love in this book between characters. Like, there was familial love, there was friendship love, there was romantic love. It was just such a sweet and heartwarming romance. And the way these characters, but in particularly Rio, have such a soft spot in my heart. I just love him. And then the way, what's her name again? Hallie. The way Hallie had so many struggles in her life, but she always persevered. She was so strong. I just really adored these characters. And I read Play Along like last year, had a really good time with it. And I feel like this is definitely a series where it gets better as you go along. Like, the first book, I DNF, did not enjoy it whatsoever because I just really hated how the male lead, from what I remember, treated women and female characters. I couldn't get past his introduction and the way he was portrayed at the start of the book. But then as the series progressed, I slowly enjoyed them more and more. And I just had a spectacular time with these two books. Play Along was more of a 4-star read, but Rewind It Back is a 5-star, maybe even a 6-star read for me. I love it so much. And these were just, maybe I read it at the right time in my life, but it was so good. So I loved these two books. And I don't own the rest of the books in this series because they're around $17 at the moment, and I don't want to buy them until they're down to $12, which is why I bought Play Along, because it was cheaper. So I was like, I might as well snatch it up now before it increases in price. And then Rewind It Back, I just wanted to read it because it was a new release. So yeah, I think I'm going to now stop talking about these two books because I could honestly talk about this series forever. But one last thing before I do that is I cannot wait for the spin-off series. So yeah, these were the next two books I pulled, and they have also obviously been read. So far we're doing really good of my books that have been read. However, we're about to go into the territory of a book I have not read, and that is Releasing 10. I was about to say 6, but it's 10, by Chloe Walsh. So this is the Boys of Tommen series. It is a very dark, graphic series that you definitely need to look up your trigger warnings before you go into them. It's not something I would recommend if you're not in the right headspace for them. They are very dark stories, and the things you read about are horrific. Because I've read the first two books, I've started Saving 6, I think that's what the third book's called, but I just haven't continued on. But I know I want to read the rest of the books in this series, which is why I've purchased Releasing 10. But I've been putting off continuing on with the series because I have heard that these books end on such a cliffhanger, but in particular Releasing 10. So I'm like, I want to wait until this character's storyline is wrapped up before I'll even think about picking up this book. But I'll definitely read Saving 6 and then Redeeming 6 sometime soon. But I won't be reading Releasing 10 until the next book is released, which is why it's unread. And yeah, it won't be read anytime soon. But I wanted it in my collection because I do have plans on continuing on. So the next book I haven't read yet, but that is Face It Off by Chelsea Curto. As you would have just seen, my prompt card fell out. So I play a game every month called One Piece Pick a Book, which helps me choose my TBR for that month. And Face Off was a book I chose to read for August, and obviously we're still in August when you're seeing this video, so I wouldn't have read it yet. I am planning on reading it in August, so it will be read by the end of the month. So this will be another book I'll be able to tick off as read. But this is just a hockey romance, and I might tell you what the prompt was. So in my game, I landed on a character card, which is this thing here. And the character was, I can never say his name, so I don't bother. And that was just to read a book in a cold environment. And because it was a hockey book, it's set in a cold environment. So I was like, yep, that fulfills this prompt. So I think this is a book about two captains. Is it two captains? No. Or maybe it's about a female hockey player on the men's team and then them two fall in love as they play together. Or are they on opposing teams? I don't know. So I feel like this is just going to be a really sweet romance, which is why I ended up purchasing this book. So another book that is on my August TBR is Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is, I think, the book I've purchased the most recently. But Lauren Asher is one of my favourite romance writers of all time. The way she writes romances, I absolutely love. I just feel like she deals with some very heavy topics in ways that I feel is really sensitive. And I like the way her characters grow as you read the series and you can really understand them. And I feel like the reason why I also love her so much is because she writes very human feeling characters. And whenever I read a romance where I feel like these characters could be in real life, I'm much more drawn to them. So I just really love Lauren Asher, and this is the only series by her I have not read yet. So I knew I needed to buy this when I saw it in Big W. This was the only book I purchased. But I just love it, and I cannot wait to dive into this book in August. Because for this one, I landed on a character card again, and that was Usopp, and that is to read a book set in the real world. So because it's on my August TBR, it will be read in August, hopefully. So this is the next book I purchased. Then another book I've actually read is The Things We Watered by Marina Zapata. She is one of my favourite authors of all time. I love her books so very much. It was during quarantine where I just binge read all of her books basically, and this was, I think, the only book by her that I hadn't yet read until I read it in a reading vlog, which I think you might have seen it already, where I let a timer choose how long I read for. Hopefully you actually have seen that video. So I read this book. It was a 2-star read for me. It's probably one of the worst books I've read by Marina Zapata because I just did not have a good time whatsoever. It was so boring, and I feel like her newer releases don't hit me the same way as her earlier releases did, and I don't know if that's just because I read them at the right time, or maybe I'm growing out of her stories, or maybe this book just didn't click with me. And I'm sad about this book because I had been waiting for a new release from her for so long, but it was okay. It was a 2-star read. It's not something I'm going to think about, but I don't think I'm going to unhaul it just because I love Marina Zapata so much, so I still want her full collection, but that could change one day, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, this was another book I've read. Again, another book I've read, and that is Spiral by Bal Cabra. So I did a reading vlog where I read the first book and I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to purchase Spiral because I didn't love the first book. But when I had read Collide, I continued to think about reading Spiral. There was just something about this series where even if I don't love them, I still wanted to collect them and still read them, because I feel like with romances, I'm more willing to give them a chance. Because even if one romance by an author doesn't really work for me, other books in the series might, and that was definitely the case with Spiral. I enjoyed this book much more than Collide, but it's still not a book I will continue to think about because it's very much one of them stories where you read it, you have a good time, but then once you finished it, you remember nothing about it. But it was a fun read for what it was. I think I gave it 3 stars. Nothing really special, but I am glad I read it. And yeah, I had a good time with it. I'm glad I own it now. And yeah, I'm going to move on to the next books. So we're now moving on to my special editions, and I've got a series I want to talk about with you all. And that series, let me grab it. Obviously, I have to grab them. Is the Legends of Fesmar series by Helen Scheurer. This is a fantasy romance series. I gave the first book, Blood and Steel, a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. And I gave the Val and Ruins, I think, like a 3-star. It really, really let me down, which is why I have not yet continued on with this series. And there's also another reason why I haven't picked up the last 2, and that is because you need to read a novella before you dive into Fate and Furies, which I don't currently own. I could read it on Kindle Unlimited, but I purchased it from Bookish and Spice, which is where this series comes from. And yeah, so I've read 2 out of the 4, which means I've read half of the series. I had to get this series. When I saw these editions, I love them so much. I'm not going to go through all of them and show you, but I'll just show you like the front cover. So this is the first book, Blood and Steel. Then the second book is Val and Ruins, which these covers aren't my favourite, but I'll show you at least one of them. But I really loved this artwork, which was the main reason why I bought them. I was like, I need these editions. I'm not going to show you all of the artwork, but just know that they've got different end papers. So I just found them really stunning, even though this one's not my favourite cover. Then the third book is Fate and Furies, as I've told you guys before. I'll show you this artwork. This one's pretty. And this is what the naked hardcovers look like. And then that's the artwork. So they're just very pretty. And when they were on sale, I was like, I need to buy them. Because I did, I think, a leftover sale of them. And I managed to snatch them up. And then the fourth book is Shadows and Storm. I love how I've showed you some of them. Well, some of them, but not all of them. And then that's what the back looks like. Actually, I'll show you the back. That's what the back looks like. Purple's not my favourite cover. But this is the editions. I love them. And I had to get them because I did really love Blood and Steel. So I'm really hoping that the rest of the series is as good as Blood and Steel was for me. But going off that, I think I should then talk about the next book I got. because it ties into Blood and Steel. And that book is Iron and Embers. So this is just the standard special edition that I got at Big W. This is one of the books on this list, probably the only book on this list that I regret purchasing. But at the time of purchasing this book, I didn't yet own the Bookish and Spice versions. So what I'm hoping, because we've got the novella of the Bookish and Spice version, but I'm really hoping that Bookish and Spice continues on with this world and does the Iron and Ember trilogy, because they're all, I think, being released this year and maybe into next year. But I loved the characters that we're following in Iron and Ember, so I cannot wait to get to this series. And I feel like I've got the potential to enjoy this more. But as I said, I kind of regret purchasing Iron and Embers because I might not need it if Bookish and Spice does another version. But I own it for the moment. And that book could easily end up getting unhauled. So, I've then got Watch Me by Tahereh Mafi. I was kind of really disappointed when this edition came. So, this is fine. But the main reason I loved the Shatami series by FairyLoot in this version was the dust jackets, the reversible dust jackets. And then I got this thing. This is stunning, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't match the rest of the series. Let me grab one. I'll be 2 seconds. So this is what the dust jackets used to look like. So we had a character artwork and then we had the text. Whereas we get to this book and then it's like stunning, as I said, but what is this? Where is the title? Where is it? It's just like, what? So it doesn't really match, which frustrates me because even though it's like a spin-off series, it's still part of the same world. So I wanted the dust jackets to match. So now I probably need to flip them all around and it's just very upsetting. And it's pretty, but the dust jacket, reversible dust jacket, really hurts my soul. So yeah, this was the next book I hauled. I haven't read this book yet, obviously. Oh, and obviously I haven't read Iron and Embers. I just realised I didn't say that. And I haven't yet read Watch Me because I just haven't had time. I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet. There's no specific reason why I haven't actually read it yet. But I feel like when I get to it, I'm going to have a really good time because Shatami is a series that I enjoy. They're a good time. Nothing I'm obsessed with, but I cannot wait to dive into Watch Me still because I feel like this will also be a good time. Then the next book I received was Heir of Storms by Lauren Hamilton Murray. And this, I think, was the June YA book. And I just love these edges. I love them so much. I think they are so stunning. But my favourite thing about this edition is definitely the naked hardcover. I think this is so beautiful. But my only complaint about that is it really reminded me of Heavenly Bodies by FairyLoot. Like, it was very similar. And I just find the edges to be stunning. It's a really pretty edition. I haven't read this yet, but I'm hoping to get to it sometime soon. I don't know when, but I'm hoping it will be sometime soon. But because it's a monthly box, I'm strict with getting to them. Like, I want to read them within a month or two of receiving them, but I'm not super duper strict where I'm like, I can't haul them because special editions, especially FairyLoot, are so difficult to get. So that's why I've ended up with the YA box. I'm excited to read this, but I'm also a bit hesitant because I think there's going to be a love triangle. And I really am so sick of love triangles. I'm so over it. They are so overdone in my opinion. They really bug me, so I'm very worried going into this book, but I'm really hoping I have a good time with it still, even though there is a love triangle, which, don't get me wrong, can sometimes happen. Then I've got potentially my favourite special edition of this whole video, and that is A Harvest of Hearts by Andrea Ames. I haven't yet read this book, but I really want to read it ASAP because this is meant to be a cozy fantasy, but the main reason I'm really desperate to pick this book up is because it's got a cat. There's a cat on it. Like, look how cute that is. I love it so much. I think it's so pretty. And pink is my favourite colour. So the fact that this is a pink cover and it's got a pink heart, I just love this edition. But then also, you've got a green heart. So even though it's not the most special book you've ever seen, there's something about this book that really satisfies me. and this is by Lock Library. I feel like this is one of the best books Lock Library has ever done, because quite often they're very lackluster, they're not anything special, but I feel like this was definitely a very different edition for them. It's very pretty, I love it so much. And talking about A Harvest of Hearts makes me realise I've actually got 23 books I need to talk about with you all, but let me grab it. So I then received a book from Forbidden Wing, which was A Steep and Savage Path by J.J. Harwood. I've read this book, I gave it 3 stars, it was good, but the thing that really, really annoyed me is there is no chapters. It's literally only got parts, which is so frustrating. Let me try and show you the gap between parts though, because it was ridiculous. I was like, is it ever going to end? So I'll show you the biggest gap, which was between part 2 and part 3. If I can even find part 2, it's that far away. Wait, where is it? Oh, no wonder why I couldn't find it. So this is part 1 here, part 2, and then part 3 is the last section. I don't know if there's a part 4, but there was no chapters. I had, let me look, so I was up to page 49, over 200 pages and not a single chapter. So that's why I really struggled with this book, and I'm so sick of the colour purple in the special editions. But because it's by the Lock Library, it doesn't annoy me as much as it does when it's a Fairy Loot book, because Fairy Loot literally uses purple when it's so unnecessary. Like, they don't need to use it as much as they do. And I get purple can be their favourite colour, but it's like, make the books a bit more special. That's just my personal opinion. If you love the colour purple, good for you. It's just not for me. Yeah, so this is another book I've purchased and read. Oh, look, another purple book by Fairy Loot. And that book is The Glittering Edge by Alyssa Villar. This is another YA fantasy. I haven't read it yet. There's meant to be a love triangle, I think. But it's compared to Maggie Stiefvater, so I'm more willing to give this book a chance, because I definitely feel like I've got the potential to really, really enjoy it if it is similar to The Raven Boys and Maggie Stiefvater's writing. Because if it is, she's one of my favourite childhood authors, so I'm really hoping they're similar. And this also has a little cat on the cover, and this is definitely one of the best editions Fairy Loot has done. Like, just everything, everything about that is so pretty. And then that is just stunning. I'm not going to show you like every aspect of these books just because I'd be here forever. So this is the next book I got, and I haven't yet read it, but similar to most of the other books on this list, I hope I get to it sometime soon. Then I've got The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. So I've started reading this book. Where did I get up to? Oh, there's my challenge card. I think that's from June. I was originally going to come back to BookTube earlier, but I didn't. Wait, is it from June or is it from July? No, it's from June. Yeah, it's definitely from June. I got 185 pages in and then put it down because I could see the signs of a love triangle coming in, and I'm really scared that there's going to be a love triangle. It makes me really hesitant to read series with love triangles like so much, because I get so attached to certain couples that often I'm like, no, don't end up with the other person. So yeah, going back to The Wind Weaver, that is why I put it down. It's just because I feel like there's going to be a love triangle. I've got a video in mind that I would really like to post. I don't know when it's going to be posted, but this will definitely be one of the books in that video for you all. So yeah, I am planning on reading it hopefully in August, but I can't wait to actually be able to say I've read this book. Then the next book I've got is another book I've started and not finished, and that is This Monster of Mine by Shalani Abasgira. Oh, I can't say names. That's the author's name. I got up to page 79, which was chapter 6. Oh, I hit myself in the face with the book. But I feel like the reason why I put this book down is just because I wasn't in the mood for it at the time where I started reading it. So I'm hoping to wrap this up sometime soon in the same video as The Wind Weaver, hopefully, so that might give away what that video is. We might have already seen it, but I do have plans to finish it hopefully in August. Now, another book I've read, and that is Broken Souls and Bones by L.J. Andrews. Overall, I rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars, but I was kind of disappointed when I realised what book this was, because I thought this book was by Iona Andrews. And I've always wanted to read a book by Iona Andrews where I was like, I need it, I want it, I was so hyped. And then I looked at it again and I was like, no, it's by L.J. Andrews. And I tried to read one of her series before in the past. I didn't really love it and ended up DNFing it. But because of that, I was hesitant going into this book. But it actually really pleasantly surprised me. Like, I had such a good time with it. It was such a fun read. I read it in a reading vlog. It was a good book. A 4 out of 5 stars. Can't wait to read the sequels. I loved the side characters of this book. They were incredible. It was a fantastic read. So yeah, this is the next book I purchased. Then another book I haven't read yet, and that is Onyx Storms by Rebecca Yarros. So this is the Fairy Loot edition. I just realised I haven't been saying the editions. Let me grab them. These all books are from Fairy Loot. Yeah, I think they're the only ones I haven't said it for. So going back to Onyx Storm, I had to purchase this. Getting these books are so difficult just because of how hyped the series is. And this is the Fairy Loot edition. The main reason why I love this one in particular is just because of the reversible dust jackets. I love this artwork so much and I really want to reverse them, but I don't know when I'm going to do that, just because I'm always so scared I'm going to damage them. And that is the only reason I ended up purchasing this book. I can't wait to read the rest of the books in this series, but because we don't know when book 4 is being released, I've been trying to put these books off. If we had have had a release date for book 4, I probably would have binge read this series because I've been having such a good time with them, but it's just not a book I'm planning on getting to anytime soon, even though I really want to. Now we're up to the final book and we're ending it on a good note because it is another book I've read, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gilly. This is by Fairy Loot. I am so glad I managed to get this edition because I got off the waitlist at the perfect time. It was literally a month or two before this book was released, so I'm so thankful and grateful I have this, because in Australia this book was selling for like $200 to $250, and for one singular book that is insane. The resale prices of this book in particular, I was like, no. And I'm so glad I own this edition, because it meant that I didn't need to pay the resale price, but I wouldn't have paid that anyway, because as I said, 200 to 250 books for one singular book is absolutely insane. So yeah, I've rated this book a 4 stars. I don't enjoy it as much as the One Dark Window duology. I much prefer that. The One Dark Window book was incredible. This one was good, but One Dark Window was on another level. So yeah, this is the final book I've got to talk about for you all today. I'm done. I have done it. I have spoken about the 23 books that I hauled in the past couple months, and I might actually try and figure out how many books I've read and how many books I've got unread. So let me quickly do that for you all. So overall, I've got 10 books I haven't read, 10 books I have read, so it's half and half, and then also 2 books that I'm soft DNF. So that means I've got 43% read, 43% unread, and then 8% I'm in the middle of, like, soft DNF. So it's good, but it's not as good as I wanted it. I would have much preferred if I had only had maybe like 5 unread. 10's not bad, especially because 2 books are on my August TBR, and then 2 other books I want to get to soon, but it's not, as I said, where I wanted it to be. So yeah, they are all of the books I've hauled over the past couple of months, and I think that's all I need to say. Like, there's nothing else. I don't need to drag the ending out other than I hope to see you next time, and bye.